Before CGI took over Hollywood, car chases were dangerous, messy, and sometimes downright illegal. These weren't just action sequences, they were real drivers, real streets, and real risks. Every squealing tire and near miss was felt because it actually happened. What made these scenes legendary wasn't polished editing or computer effects, but the raw tension of knowing one wrong move could end in disaster. Directors called it storytelling without words, a way to build suspense and excitement using nothing but engines, screeching brakes, and fearless stunt drivers. Over the decades, filmmakers across the world tried to outdo each other, from sleek spy escapes to chaotic comedies to gritty urban nightmares that still feel dangerous to watch today. And before the year 2000, some of the boldest, most unforgettable car chases ever filmed had already cemented their place in history. Today, we're ranking them. But don't expect safe picks or predictable choices. Some of these chases were so reckless, they blurred the line between filmmaking and real danger. And one in particular changed cinema forever. James Bond has had dozens of car chases across his long history, but The Spy Who Loved Me delivered one of the most unforgettable sequences of all time. Roger Moore's Bond isn't just outrunning enemies, he's practically putting on a showcase of gadgetry, style, and impossible escapes. It begins innocently enough, Bond behind the wheel of a sleek, white Lotus Esprit, trailed by gunmen and a helicopter pivoting overhead. Within seconds, the chase escalates into pure spectacle. Henchmen fire from motorcycles, one bike even carrying a sidecar that detaches into a full-blown missile. The helicopter dive is so close it seems certain Bond has no way out, and then, the impossible. Instead of racing down the road, Bond points the Esprit straight into the ocean. To the shock of everyone, the car transforms into a fully functioning submarine, gliding beneath the waves as calmly as if it were designed for it. Speargun divers try their luck, but they're dispatched with the same smooth efficiency that makes Bond who he is. The scene is capped with a classic 007 gag. A bystander watches the Lotus emerge from the water, stares at his drink, and double takes as if convinced he's lost his mind. It's the perfect punchline to a chase that combines danger, style, and that tongue-in-cheek Bond charm. This wasn't just another action sequence, it was the moment Bond cars became as iconic as Bond himself. And while gadgets made this chase unforgettable, the next film on our list proved you don't need high-tech toys at all. Just chaos and a mountain of wrecked police cars. Most car chases thrive on tension, grit, and danger, but the Blues Brothers flipped the formula upside down. Instead of realism, director John Landis delivered a chase so outrageous, so destructive, it became legendary for sheer excess. Jake and Elwood Blues aren't hardened criminals or secret agents, they're just two guys in sunglasses trying to get to a bank before closing time. But once they hit the road, half the state of Illinois seems to come after them, state police, angry musicians, and even a group of self-proclaimed Nazis. What follows is pure cinematic madness. 13 different versions of the Bluesmobile were built just to survive the punishment. 60 police cruisers were sacrificed in the name of comedy. By the end, the final tally of wrecked vehicles stood at a staggering 103, a record at the time. The stunts are as ridiculous as they are impressive. At one point, the Bluesmobile launches off the ground, soaring over a police car and clipping its siren. That stunt was so dangerous, the driver agreed to do it only after both John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd promised him $1,000 each. The chase barrels through city streets, malls, and suburbs until the villains literally plunge off an unfinished highway to their doom. And then, in one last punchline, the Bluesmobile itself collapses to pieces the second the brothers slam its doors shut. It's anarchic, over-the-top, and endlessly entertaining. While most car chases make your heart race, this one makes you laugh until it hurts, and somehow, it still stands shoulder to shoulder with the grittiest action scenes in history. But where the Bluesmobile gave us comedy, the next chase brought us style, wit, and 3 little cars that became symbols of cool. If the Blues Brothers was chaos, the Italian Job was pure style. This wasn't about smashing through everything in sight. It was about outsmarting the cops with wit, charm, and 3 perfectly chosen Mini Coopers. Michael Caine's crew has just pulled off a daring gold heist in Turin, and now they have to get their treasure out of the city. Their escape, a choreographed ballet of minis darting through streets, alleys, and even buildings. At times it feels less like a chase and more like a cheeky performance. The little cars weave in and out of shopping malls, slide into a car showroom just to hide for a few seconds, and then burst back out before the police know what's happened. The most jaw-dropping moment comes when the minis scale the roof of the Torino Polavela Arena, vanish at the top, and then reappear speeding back down as the police flounder below. It's smart, playful, and utterly charming, a chase that balances high stakes with almost cartoonish wit. And of course, it all leads to one of the most famous endings in cinema history, the gold perched on the edge of a cliff, the gang stuck inside the bus, teetering between fortune and disaster. It's not just a cliffhanger, it's the cliffhanger. Where the Blues Brothers made us laugh, the Italian Job made us grin with admiration. But across the globe, another filmmaker was crafting a very different kind of chase, one stripped of humor, drenched in dust, and as brutal as the wasteland it came from. If the Italian Job was playful, the Road Warrior was pure survival. George Miller's post-apocalyptic vision stripped away all polish and left only grit, dust, and the roar of engines in a desert wasteland. Here, Max is at the wheel of an oil tanker, trying to lead a convoy of desperate survivors to safety while being hunted by Lord Humongous and his marauding gang. But this isn't a sleek getaway, it's war on wheels. Raiders swarm the tanker, leaping from spiked vehicles, clinging to doors, and getting crushed under steel without hesitation. Guards are picked off one by one, their deaths quick and merciless, leaving Max almost alone. What makes this chase legendary is its terrifying realism. George Miller didn't dress it up with endless explosions or flashy edits. Instead, the tension comes from the sheer brutality of the stunts. A stuntman famously broke both legs in one crash, flying through the air and flipping head over heels, and Miller kept the shot in the film. Every impact feels bone-crunching, every swerve life or death. The aerial shots add to the spectacle, with helicopters capturing the chaos as vehicles smash, tumble, and burn across the desert. It's chaotic, violent, and unrelenting, the kind of chase that makes you feel the heat and the danger in every frame. This wasn't just another action scene, it was a statement. In Miller's world, cars weren't just machines, they were survival itself. And while this wasteland gave us carnage, another film that same era turned car chases into something far more restrained, a silent duel between 2 drivers where every move was a standoff. Walter Hill's The Driver is a film of few words. Characters don't even have names, they're simply the driver, the detective, the player. Everything that matters is told through movement, silence, and steel on asphalt. And nowhere is that clearer than in its final car chase. Unlike the spectacle of Bond or the chaos of the Blues Brothers, this sequence plays like a Western showdown. The driver, played with icy precision by Ryan O'Neal, is chasing a thief who's stolen a crucial key to his score. There are no witty quips, no flashy gadgets. Just headlights in the dark, engines revving, and 2 cars circling each other like gunfighters waiting to draw. The chase moves from the freeway to an empty parking lot, and finally into a deserted warehouse where silence becomes its own weapon. Each driver stalks the other in the shadows, trying to force a mistake. It's tense, stripped down, and almost unnervingly quiet until the climax, when the cars face off in a deadly game of chicken. Hill himself said all his films are basically westerns, and here it's obvious. The driver turns the car chase into a duel, a battle of nerve and control rather than pure speed or chaos. It's not about who's faster, it's about who blinks first. This was the car chase at its most minimalist, proving you don't need mayhem to create suspense. But in the very next film on our list, one man proved you could blend speed, danger, and pure charisma into a sequence that would define cool for generations. If you ask any filmmaker what the greatest car chase of all time is, chances are Bullitt will come up within seconds. This was the moment Hollywood realized that a car chase could be more than a gimmick. It could be pure cinematic adrenaline. Steve McQueen, already known as the King of Cool, took the wheel himself for much of the sequence, tearing through the steep streets of San Francisco in a dark green Ford Mustang GT. Opposite him, a pair of hitmen in a black Dodge Charger, driven by legendary stuntman Bill Hickman. The buildup is as masterful as the chase itself. At first, it's quiet, the killer's car lurking in McQueen's rearview mirror, the tension building as if they're circling each other in a silent duel. Then, with a sudden screech of tires, the chase explodes into motion. What makes it iconic isn't flashy editing or wild stunts, but its rawness. The music drops out completely, leaving only the roar of engines, the growl of gears, and the squeal of rubber on asphalt. Every turn down San Francisco's hilly streets feels dangerous. Every leap off an incline threatens to shatter both car and driver. By the time the chase leaves the city and hits open roads, the speed is staggering, and the sense of danger feels real because, in many ways, it was. Sure, the continuity is famously sloppy. The same green Volkswagen Beetle pops up multiple times in different spots along the chase. But that only adds to its charm. What matters is how alive it feels, how unscripted. McQueen's determination bleeds through every frame, and Hickman's relentless driving makes the villains just as memorable. By the time the Charger crashed in a fiery wreck, Bullitt had already written itself into cinema history. This wasn't just another chase scene, it became the blueprint. Every director that followed had to ask, can we top Bullitt? But while Bullitt defined cool, the next film on our list turned the car chase into something else entirely, a screwball comedy of errors, chaos, and laughter that could only have come out of the 1970s. By the early 70s, car chases were becoming a staple of cinema, but Peter Bogdanovich decided to do something completely different. In What's Up, Doc?, he didn't aim for tension or grit. Instead, he built a chase that was pure chaos, slapstick, and timing so sharp it felt like a live-action cartoon. The setup is deceptively simple, multiple characters chasing after identical plaid satchels, each believing they have the real one. What follows is a madcap pursuit through the streets of San Francisco, the same city where Bullitt had cemented car chase history just a few years earlier. But instead of cool grit, Bogdanovich gives us screwball comedy. Cars careen down steep hills, smash into glass panels being carefully carried across the street, and pile onto each other in increasingly ridiculous ways. At one point, a poor delivery van gets flattened bit by bit as one car after another smashes into it. What makes this chase so brilliant is that it works on two levels. It's technically impressive, packed with daring stunts and crisp editing, but it's also laugh-out-loud funny. Every moment is a punchline, every turn is set up for the next gag. Bogdanovich even slipped in a clever nod to Buster Keaton, reminding audiences that the best chases aren't just about speed, they're about surprise. While most car chases aim to thrill, What's Up, Doc? Proved they could be hilarious without losing any of the spectacle. But as funny as it was, the next chase on our list pushed audiences to the edge of their seats with sheer terror. Filmed on the streets of Paris at speeds so real, even the actors' fear wasn't acting. By the late 90s, audiences had seen just about every kind of car chase imaginable. But then came Ronin, John Frankenheimer's stylish spy thriller that proved you didn't need CGI or camera tricks to terrify audiences. All you needed was real cars, real speed, and a director willing to push stunt drivers and actors to their absolute limits. The most famous chase unfolds on the streets of Paris. Sam Robert De Niro and Vincent Jean Reno are locked in a desperate pursuit that turns into a nightmare of wrong turns, screeching brakes, and sheer velocity. The sequence builds and builds until it spills into a tunnel, where the cars barrel the wrong way down a one-way motorway, facing oncoming traffic head-on at over 100 miles per hour. The fear on the actors' faces isn't just good acting. Many of those shots were filmed with the actors actually inside cars going 120 miles per hour, surrounded by a small army of 300 stunt drivers to keep them alive. The claustrophobic POV shots, cameras bolted to the hoods, pull viewers right into the driver's seat, making every near miss feel like it's happening to you. Unlike many modern chases, there's no flashy editing to hide mistakes, no sense of safety. The cars genuinely look out of control, brushing against barriers, clipping mirrors, swerving within inches of disaster. The danger is tangible, the tension unbearable. Ronin didn't just deliver one of the greatest chases of the 90s, it reminded Hollywood what made car chases unforgettable in the first place: risk, unpredictability, and the chilling sense that someone might not make it out alive. And while Ronin pushed technical realism, the next film on our list embraced chaos, fear, and outright insanity in a way that still feels like a fever dream, a chase so relentless it forced its hero to drive straight into oncoming traffic. Most car chases put the heroes in pursuit, but William Friedkin, the same director behind The French Connection, flipped the script into Live and Die in LA. Instead of chasing, the heroes are the ones being hunted. And the result is one of the most intense, unpredictable, and downright terrifying car chases ever put on screen. Secret Service agent Richard Chance, William Peterson, and his partner Vukovich John Pankow find themselves cornered by gangsters working for a ruthless counterfeiter played by Willem Dafoe. What starts as a desperate escape quickly spirals into pure chaos. Chance dodges trucks in a rail yard, squeezes under a moving freight train by inches, and bursts back onto the freeway with enemies closing in from all sides. But the moment that sears itself into memory comes when Chance makes the unthinkable decision to drive against the flow of traffic on a packed Los Angeles freeway. The camera locks us into the chaos, headlights blinding, horns screaming, near misses piling one after another. Every second feels like disaster is unavoidable. And that's because the danger wasn't just cinematic trickery. Friedkin staged the scene with real vehicles, real stunt drivers, and genuine risk. The panic on John Pankow's face wasn't scripted, it was real. The actor was so terrified by the sequence that his breakdown in the car didn't require much acting at all. By the time Chance finally slips away, the audience feels as shaken as the characters. This wasn't just action, it was anxiety distilled into 10 minutes of asphalt and headlights. But as terrifying as this was, Friedkin had already redefined the car chase years earlier with his scenes so raw, so reckless, and so authentic that it remains the most famous chase in cinema history. When people talk about the greatest car chase ever filmed, The French Connection is almost always the first name that comes up, and for good reason. This wasn't just a chase scene. It was a reckless, nerve-shattering gamble that blurred the line between cinema and reality. The setup is simple. Detective Popeye Doyle, played by Gene Hackman, is desperate to catch an assassin who's fleeing on New York's elevated train. With no time to think, Doyle commandeers a Pontiac Lemons and barrels through the streets in pursuit of a train that, by design, should have been untouchable. What makes this sequence legendary isn't just the danger, it's how real that danger was. Director William Friedkin, determined to capture authenticity, shot much of the chase without permits, meaning Hackman and his stunt driver were flying through actual New York traffic at terrifying speeds. At one point, they hit a civilian car that wasn't part of the script. Instead of cutting it out, Friedkin kept the crash in, and the raw, unscripted violence made the chase even more intense. The scene is pure chaos, Doyle screaming at pedestrians, swerving past baby strollers, punching the dashboard in frustration, and flooring it under the train tracks as the assassin's subway car rattles overhead. Every close call feels like it could end in disaster because it very nearly did. What sets this chase apart is its unpolished realism. There are no balletic stunts, no slow-motion heroics, no music swelling in the background. Just the deafening roar of engines, the screech of tires, and the terrifying knowledge that this wasn't just acting, it was risk caught on camera. Decades later, filmmakers are still trying to match its raw intensity, but The French Connection remains the blueprint, the high bar, and the ultimate reminder of what car chases can be when danger isn't simulated, it's real. From the witty minis of The Italian Job to the chaos of the Blues Brothers, the desert carnage of The Road Warrior, and the sheer terror of Ronin, and To Live and Die in LA, every chase on this list left a mark. They weren't polished digital effects, they were engines roaring, tires burning, and stunt drivers risking everything for the shot. And while cinema has produced countless car chases since, these pre-2000 classics stand apart because they feel alive, unpredictable, and dangerous in a way no CGI sequence ever could. Maybe that's the true legacy of these films. They remind us that the most unforgettable chases aren't about the cars at all. They're about the people willing to push them to the limit.